Hello, everybody. Happy Friday morning. We have made it to the end of another week. And let's celebrate getting to the end of another week by talking about one of our favorite football cliches, that third down is the most important down in the game. And unlike some other NFL cliches that I tried to shoot down, this one's pretty true. I mean, you don't need to be a math guy to figure out that third downs are really important. The teams that are going to convert their third downs are going to be successful, and the teams that don't will not. Just thinking about it from a heuristic standpoint, if you convert your third downs, your offense stays on the field, you're going to score more points. You keep their defense on the field for longer, you keep your defense off the field. Everything just kind of adds up. If you convert on third downs, it's going to have a pretty drastic effect on your ability to win games. And if you don't, it's going to be hard. Now, I'm not going to go over this article in this video, but if you want a math guy to explain to you how important third down is, you can go to sharpfootballanalysis.com and read this article, How Crucial is Success on Third Down. It's a few years old, but it still checks out. Short version is that according to his research, third downs are about as impactful on a team's success or lack of success as early downs, despite there only being a handful of third downs a game compared to dozens of early down plays. So, third down really is the most important down for your team's success, not only as a team, but offensively. And beyond just that, third down is also the measure of how good a quarterback is most of the time. The great quarterbacks are going to convert on third down. And it kind of makes sense why, too. Defenses love third down, especially third and more than 4 yards. Third and 5 or more to go, the other team's going to pass the ball 90% of the time, maybe 95. And you know it. The defense knows it. So if you're a pass rusher, you get to pin your ears back and just race to the quarterback because you know that the other team is probably not going to run the ball. That's just not what teams do on third down unless it's third and a yard or third and 2 yards. So as a pass rusher, you can go, I'm not worrying about my run lane or gap integrity that much. I'm just trying to get to this quarterback. If you're a linebacker or a safety or a cornerback, you don't have to respect play action that much because you're not really that afraid of them running the ball. You get to just play the pass. So third down is the hardest down for a quarterback to play because the defense knows what's coming. And the great quarterbacks are able to overcome that obstacle and convert them anyway. So it all comes down to third down. And with that in mind, let's take a look at what the Seahawks have been doing on third down compared to other teams in the league and try to get an idea of what one of the major points of emphasis needs to be in 2021. Okay, so these are third down conversion rates in 2020, the most recent season. If you look at the top 10, you're going to find all the most successful teams and many of the most successful quarterbacks. Green Bay was number one. They were a 13-3 team that was a play or two away from the Super Bowl. Kansas City made the Super Bowl. They were third. Buffalo made the AFC Championship game. They were fourth. New Orleans had a good season. They were fifth. Cleveland had a good season. They were eighth. Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, and they were ninth. You actually wouldn't usually see a team this successful, this relatively low in third down conversions, but still top 10, still good. Yeah, so these are the teams that you would kind of expect to be up here based off their offensive efficiency and effectiveness and their team's overall effectiveness. And you'll also find most of the elite quarterbacks: Rodgers, Lamar, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Drew Brees, Brady. Yeah, mostly it's the best quarterbacks in the league. So where does that put Seattle in all this? Where are they? Wow, okay, they're down here at 27. Below Miami, who started a rookie for most of the year. Below Denver, who literally didn't even have a quarterback in one of their games. Um, yeah. Now, I know the Seahawks offense had struggles last year as the season winded down. It was really frustrating. And I think we all know the offense by the end of the year was not very good. But they still set a franchise record for points. Wilson threw 40 touchdown passes. Wilson threw for a ton of yards. He had a ton of really good games. And he set all kinds of franchise records. And for the first 6 to 7 games of the season, the offense was lighting the league on fire. They looked like one of the best offenses in NFL history. So even though the offense really fell off a cliff as the season went on, it's still kind of crazy that we can have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback who throws 40 touchdown passes, puts up those kinds of stats, puts up all those points, and somehow we are in the bottom six in third down conversions. That's not just weird, that should almost be impossible. There are some logical reasons why that happened. We had success on first and second down. We maybe had success on fourth down. That can overcome third down woes if you're successful on your fourth downs. But on the whole, you just should never see an offense that scored as many points as the Seahawks did being this bad on third down. And we might be hard on Wilson for some of the problems he had last year, rightfully so. But we still view him as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So for him to man an offense this bad on third down is not doing a good job making our arguments for him being one of the best in the league. So let's move on. Let's go to 2019, see what's up. All right. So again, if you look at the top of the league, you'll find the usual suspects. The Ravens, 14 wins. Yeah, blew up in the playoffs, but they had an elite team, the best team in the league in the regular season. So, no surprise they had the number one third down offense. Cowboys had the number one offense in the league, and they were number two. It didn't turn into wins because of other problems that they had, but they had a great offense, and that was reflected in their third down success rate. Chiefs won the Super Bowl, number three. San Francisco made the Super Bowl, almost won it, top five. Philadelphia won their division in 2019. They were number four. You'll find a lot of the most successful teams, even Minnesota, they won a playoff game in 2019. They were ninth. So you're going to find a lot of the top QBs in here, the top offenses, the top teams overall. And in 2019, the Seahawks had a pretty good offense. It fell apart a little bit at the end because the running backs got hurt, but it was still a really good offense for most of the year. They put up 41 against Tampa Bay. That was probably the high point. They had other very explosive, very impressive games. Wilson throwing 4 touchdowns against the Rams. So, once again, I got to ask, how can they have that much success and then only be 15th in third down conversion rate? Just barely over mediocre, just barely over average, down there with the Lions and the Rams, two teams that didn't make the playoffs at all. So once again, I don't want to call this like impossible. It's not unreasonable for a team to be this lackluster, to be, well, mediocre on third down and still find success, but it is getting a little weird, right? Wilson's supposed to be MVP caliber. He made all pro last year, and yet the actual MVP converted third downs better than anybody, and our guy did it barely above average. All right, let's go back to 2018. This was another year when Wilson was hyped up as being an MVP candidate. Okay, let's look at the best teams. The Colts, they had a good season. They're number one. Makes a lot of sense. Kansas City, they made the AFC title game, lost in OT. They had a top 3 third down offense. New Orleans had a good season. Should have gone to the Super Bowl. Got robbed. Top 5. The Rams had a good season. I mean, a great season. They made the Super Bowl. New England won the Super Bowl. They were top 10 as well. And New England had a defensive first team, a defensive minded team for the most part, and they still had a very good third down conversion percentage on an offense that was not exactly high flying. Philadelphia had a good season. They were just outside the top 10. So, yeah, once again, we're finding some of the usual suspects up here. And the Seahawks offense is below average, 37.5%, 18th in the league. Huh. Okay. So, once again, not really seeing Wilson put his name among the best QBs in the league on the most important downs. Not seeing this offense, which in 2018 was pretty good, putting themselves among the best offenses in the league. So, what gives? All right, 2017. Now, 2017 was not a very good season for the Seahawks, but Wilson was still getting MVP hype down to the last few weeks of the season. I have people on this channel who still think he should have won MVP. And yet, I take a look at it. Okay, Minnesota made the NFC title game. They were number one. And, they did it without an elite quarterback. They had Case Keenum for most of the year, and they still managed to be this good on third down, which is crazy. You usually wouldn't see that. Eagles, Super Bowl champion Eagles, second. Pittsburgh, they went 13-3. It flamed out in the playoffs, but they were third. We have Atlanta. They won a playoff game in 2017. They had a top 5 third down conversion rate. We also saw New England make the Super Bowl. They were 8th. The Rams made the playoffs. They were 10th. So once again, you're seeing some of the top QBs in the league. You're seeing some of the top offenses in the league, the top teams overall in the league ranked up here. The only really good team you will see in 2017 that didn't make the upper echelon of third down conversions is Jacksonville. And Jacksonville had a borderline historically good defense in 2017. And speaking of Jacksonville, they were kept in the top 19 by a few percentage point decimals because of the Seahawks being just below them at 20. Now, the 2017 offense wasn't very good, and we all know that. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, that was such a great offense. Why did they suck on third down? No, that offense had real problems. Wilson had problems this season, but he still put up MVP numbers, and people were hyping him up as a potential MVP for basically the whole season. So once again, I got to look at this and wonder, why does this keep happening? Why can't we have a better than mediocre third down conversion rate? Why are we always in the bottom half of the league, or at best right in the middle? All right, so 2016. This was a year when the Seahawks offense really didn't play that well in the first place anyway, but it's part of the mosaic that I'm trying to paint here anyway. So if you take a look at the top, New Orleans, great offense. New England, they won the Super Bowl this year. They were second. Green Bay made the NFC title game third. We had Atlanta. They made the Super Bowl. They were seventh. Once again, you're seeing all these top teams and top quarterbacks up here in the top 10. You're seeing the guys you would consider to be the best in the game up here. And then you have Seattle. I know Wilson played half the season on one leg, and I know the offense was just not that good. This was one of the first years when the offensive line really started to fall apart. 15th, barely above average in third down conversions. And it's just really kind of weird that a offense that has been good and a quarterback who is considered elite could put up this many seasons of average to bad third down production. And I'm not putting it on any one person because, look, I believe that Wilson has been an elite quarterback for most of this run. I think that we've had two different offensive coordinators, so to blame one of them would be silly, but it just hasn't clicked yet. Okay, let's go back one more year now. 2015, we finally did it. We finally found a season where the Seahawks excelled on third down, 2015. And for those of you guys who remember 2015, that was the year when things started out terribly. The first half of the season was miserable. I hated it. Just blown lead after blown lead. And then the second half of the year, man, this offense, it's still probably the best Seahawks offense I have ever seen in my life. Wilson had like 24 touchdowns to 1 interception. He was playing perfect. So it makes a lot of sense why this would be the one year when the third down conversion rate actually goes up. But once again, if you take a look at the best teams in the league on third down, you would find the teams that you would expect to find. Carolina, they made the Super Bowl this year. They went 15-1. They were 6th in the league on third down. I think the Chargers were good this year. I can't remember 100%, but I think in 2015 they were quite good. They were in the top 8. Arizona made the NFC title game. They were 4th. So you're seeing some of the teams up here that you would expect. One interesting thing that's going on here, however, is that the team that won the Super Bowl, the Denver Broncos, is all the way down in the bottom 5. And I think the people who remember the Denver Broncos in 2015 will remember why they won the Super Bowl that year. They had a historic defense. And they were incredibly good in the crunch time of games, but mostly because they had a historic defense. So that's what it takes to win a Super Bowl or even compete for a Super Bowl. If you're this bad on third down, you need to have a historically good defense. And that's what the Broncos had. They overcame this lack of third down success and won 12 games and won the Super Bowl. All right, so now we go back to 2014, and now we're getting kind of to the point where Wilson was more of a bus driver, and Marshawn Lynch was the featured part of the offense. If you take a look at 2014 in a, again, broader sense, just looking at the top teams, we got the Patriots in the top 4, which makes sense. They won the Super Bowl. We have the Chargers. They had a good season this year. They were 5th. Green Bay, They made the NFC title game. They were third. The Cowboys had a great year. They finished 12-4. I think they were second. So yeah, once again, we're seeing the most successful teams up here. You do actually see the Seahawks up here at number 8. So we actually put together 2 seasons of pretty good third down play. So top 8 would be considered to be quite good. So that's something. Go back to 2013, the year we won the Super Bowl. Well, Denver is number 1. Of course they are. They were number 1 in everything on offense. So yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. The Chargers, they had a good season. They won a playoff game. They were second. Carolina, they had a good season. They, I think, went 12-4. They were third. The Saints won a playoff game. They were fourth. You had, let's see here, who else? Green Bay made the playoffs barely. They finished in the top 10. Um, Here's another oddity. You usually don't see this either, kind of like we did with Denver. Seattle was in the bottom half of the league on third down, and they still won the Super Bowl because, you guessed it, they had a historic defense. So, based on what we're looking at here, it seems pretty conclusive that if you want to win a Super Bowl and not be good on third down, you don't need a good defense. You don't need a great defense. You need a historically fantastic defense. And that's really hard to get, and I doubt this team is ever going to get back to that. So, can Shane Waldron be the guy who finally figures this out? Because other than that one stretch of 7 or 8 games in 2015, this team just cannot find success on third down. Every year we talk about Russell Wilson as being an MVP candidate. He puts up all these numbers, we score these points, he carries us to these wins. And, once he actually made the All Pro team and he's making the Pro Bowl every year. And this offense is doing things that we've never seen a Seahawks offense do in terms of how many points they score. But somehow we're not doing it on third down. And first of all, that's just kind of weird. Like I said, you wouldn't typically expect to see that, but it's also possibly an indicator as to why these seasons continually flame out the way they do. When we get to the playoffs and we're playing better teams, our inability to stay on the field on the most important down in football might be why, despite the fact that we've had all these winning seasons, we have one playoff win in the last 4 seasons and 3 in the last 6. We have a fluke playoff win against the Vikings. We have a one-score win over Josh McCown. Consists of a majority of our playoff wins over the last 6 years. So there's no reason why a team with an elite quarterback, which we have had over the last 6, 7 years, should be this bad on third down. I found 2 seasons where they were good, and one of them, Wilson was still kind of a bus driver. Ever since Wilson became the focal point of this offense, we've had one good season on third down. One good season, 2015. Ever since then, it's been average or bad, somewhere in there. And I get the sense that until we start getting better on third down, we're not going to find the success that we want unless we get another historically good defense. And I'm sorry, guys. Those don't grow on trees. They don't grow anywhere, honestly. We're probably not going to get another one in my lifetime. That kind of stuff, when it happens, you have to cherish it because it's probably not going to come back in your lifetime. All right, so that's my analysis of one of the most important things to watch for in 2021 for the Seahawks. And this should be pretty easy to keep track of, right? Offenses face what, 10 to 15 third downs a game, 15 at most? That's one really easy way to see if Shane Waldron's doing his job, if Russell Wilson's doing his job, if the offensive line is doing his job, if the whole team as a whole, including the front office that brought these players in, are they doing their jobs? Largely going to be determined by, are we converting our third downs? So I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, Go Hawks. Let me know what you think in the comments. And it's just kind of crazy that this team hasn't been able to have a good season on third down in so long and still manage to be successful and still manage to have an elite quarterback. I don't know if it's sustainable. Maybe at this point it is, but I don't think it's indicative of a team that's going to have success in the postseason. All right. See you guys later today. Go Hawks.